So we've talked about the 2000s Grinch movie with Jim Carrey, then we talked about the horror parody, The Mean One, so it feels appropriate that we talk about the most forgettable Grinch adaptation of all time. Grinch and his loyal dog Max live a solitary existence inside a cave on Mount Crumpet. His main source of aggravation comes during Christmas time when his neighbors in Whoville celebrate the holidays with a bang. When the Whos decide to make Christmas bigger and brighter, the disgruntled Grinch realizes there is one way to gain peace and quiet. With help from Max, the Green Grump hatches a scheme to pose as Santa Claus, steal Christmas, and silence the Who's holiday cheer once and for all. So I remember when this movie was coming out back in 2018, and they would not let you forget that this movie was coming out. They did everything in their power to let you know this movie was coming. This movie was so over-marketed and so commercial that, of course, it's coming from Illumination, the company that's known for basically making giant movies that are essentially products. Which is a real shame, because I remember back when I was in middle school, I saw the first Despicable Me movie, and I liked it. I thought it was good. And then after that, it just kind of felt like every other movie they did was just coasting by on that. And it really kind of hurts, because the animation quality of these movies isn't bad. They're animated well. They're designed fairly well. I know some people might not like the more stylized character designs with like super thin legs and really rotund bellies and stuff like that. I could definitely see where they're coming from. But, I mean, I've seen that kind of shit worse. I mean, you look at the Netflix Marmaduke movie that tried doing something similar, and it looked 10 times worse than any of Illumination's movies put together. They did the live-action Grinch movie that was really successful. Then they did the live-action Cat in the Hat movie, and that failed. I mean, it did well at the box office, but critics just despised it. And I think Dr. Seuss's widow said that that was the final nail in the coffin. No more live-action Dr. Seuss movies. And then after that was the animated Horton Hears a Who, which I saw a lot as a kid, but I haven't watched it in years, so yeah. And then they did, I think Lorax was after that, and I remember, again, it falls into the same category, super over-marketed. And then you get to this movie, which despite the gigantic marketing campaign for it, the movie itself is just mediocre. It's just really, really bland. And at worst, it feels like the movie kind of misses the whole point of the Grinch story. Out of all the Grinch movies, the best one is still easily the original. I mean, it's a 20-minute cartoon. It gets in, it gets out. It's memorable. It's cute. It has memorable character designs and great voice acting from Boris Karloff, great animation from Chuck Jones and his team. It's like one of the quintessential go-to Christmas specials. And even though I do have a soft spot in my heart for the 2000s Grinch movie, like a lot of other people in my age range, I'll freely admit, it's not a perfect movie, and there's definitely a bunch of stuff in it where they totally just fluffed it with all this extraneous stuff to make an hour-and-a-half long story out of it. Out of a story that's super short to begin with. But then you get to this, where it's like, this makes the 2000s Grinch movie with Jim Carrey look like fucking Citizen Kane in comparison. For anyone that doesn't like that version, this is just so much worse, just in its sheer blandness and toothlessness. And it's weird because you have memorable people in it doing voices, and even behind the scenes, you got interesting people working on this thing. I mean, fuck. The music was done by Danny Elfman, which surprised me. It took me forever to realize that was the case until it got to the credits, because it was like, the music in the movie just sounds like just very standard Hollywood animated kids movie type of music. It doesn't sound like Danny Elfman's usual music that he would do. And it really made me wonder, did the studio go to him and be like, okay, don't do too much, okay? Don't bring too much of that Danny Elfman energy, that's gonna be distracting. Or was it Danny Elfman saying, fuck it, this is Illumination, I'm not working with Tim Burton on this one, so I might as well just dial it back a few notches and collect a paycheck. But like I mentioned very briefly in my last Blockbusters video, when I mentioned I was gonna talk about this movie, I saw this movie once a very long time ago on TV, and pretty much have never thought about it ever again. But then when I was looking for movies to talk about for December this year, I was like, oh yeah, you talked about 2 Grinch movies at this point, so why not talk about the 3rd Grinch movie, the one that you forgot to talk about in between. And overall, my final thoughts were just, the animation's nice, you know, there's a lot of pretty colors, there's a couple of jokes here and there I chuckled at, but really, I got nothing out of this movie. It just sort of came and went, and I feel like in a couple hours from now, I'm gonna completely forget about this movie. Right away, the movie starts off on a very odd note because they're making up new rhymes for the original story. They don't stick to the standard rhyme scheme, and there's lots of portions where it feels like they should be reciting some of the more memorable lines from the book or the cartoon. I mean, fuck, even the Jim Carrey one did this kind of stuff. Like, there's tons of moments where it's like, wait, shouldn't that go like this? That's how it was in the original.
The edge of his ledge way up in the sky. The Grinch felt upset, though he wasn't sure why. It could have been Christmas, all that joy and the such, or some thoughts from his past that he just couldn't quite touch.
In this version, they do what the Jim Carrey one did, in the sense that they try to give the Grinch a backstory. And the reason he hates Christmas, which even though one of the most well-known lines is whatever the reason, so you don't really know why he doesn't like Christmas. Here they explain it just like the 2000s one, except there, you know, the Grinch was in love with a girl and he was made fun of in front of his whole class and he ended up snapping, and you know, it was all during a big Christmas gift-giving event, and that's why he hates Christmas. Here it's that he was raised in an orphanage, didn't get adopted, and he spent Christmas all alone. So that's why he doesn't like Christmas.
Lost lonely boy, isolated and sad, with no home of his own, no mom, no dad.
And the thing is, when the Grinch inevitably grows up, and I mean, when you see him right away in the movie, first of all, his house, you know, the cave on Mount Crumpet, seems like a pretty lofty living space. He has a bunch of like Pee Wee Herman style inventions, like in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. He has a nice looking kitchen area, nice looking bedroom. It's like everything about it's just like, all right, he seems to be living pretty comfortably. It's like he's not living like in a literal cave. It seems like he's got a pretty nice fucking Bruce Wayne style Batcave thing going on here.
More than embarrassing to be beaten by a dog.
And then you get to where I think they really missed the mark with this movie, which was the title character of the Grinch. And I'm not even going to say it's because of Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the accent that he was doing, which apparently that was his idea. Like, I would have figured that there was the studio going like, oh, no, you want to make him sound more American, so we have more appeal in the States. But no, that was apparently his idea. And it's like, it's not that he can't do an American accent, but the voice that he's doing just kind of stuck out as a little weird. But I wouldn't even say that that was the thing that they missed the mark on. I think they missed the mark with the Grinch because they made him too nice. I mean, even when he's supposed to be his Grinchy self, and, you know, he wakes up in a foul mood and all that kind of thing in the beginning of the movie, he seems no different than any other person. I mean, yes, he does kind of jerkish things when he goes to Whoville, like he knocks the head off of a snowman that a kid's making, and he goes to the grocery store and doesn't want to chat with people, and I think the worst thing he does is he starts eating a pickle and then spits it out halfway through in the pickle jar and then just puts it back on the shelf. But shit, man, if that's the worst thing that he does throughout the whole movie, fuck, there are IRL streamers that are like 10 times more evil than this fucking version of the character. Honestly, throughout this entire movie, it just feels like the character of the Grinch is just an introvert that just wants to be left alone. He just wants to do whatever he pleases around the comfort of his house, not be bothered by anybody. Because they have this running gag with this character who's, they say is supposed to be his neighbor because he lives the closest to Mount Crumpet. And it's this guy played by Kenan Thompson. Poor Kenan Thompson, who, like a lot of other people in the cast, is just kind of wasted. They don't really give him a whole lot funny to do. I mean, he's just kind of there to be the super overexcited extra neighbor who's all about Christmas.
The mayor wants Christmas to be 3 times bigger this year. That means 3 times the lights, 3 times the eggnog.
Angela Lansbury, in like her last performance, that really made me sad to learn that. I was like, she plays the mayor, which I find it funny that
Like, it would have been the biggest deep cut if they asked Steve Carell to come back and play the mayor like he did in that Horton Hears a Who movie. But no, so here, Angela Lansbury is the mayor of the town, and no, they don't do what they did in the 2001 where the mayor was basically a bully to the Grinch. That probably would have been a little bit more interesting story-wise, but no, Angela Lansbury shows up as the mayor in a couple scenes, and it's like, oh, poor Angela Lansbury.
Welcome, Whoville, to the annual tree lighting ceremony. How spectacular are these ornaments?
But through the first half of the movie, it just feels like the Grinch is just a regular guy who just kind of wants to be left to himself and wants to grocery shop in peace. But, oh, these Christmas carolers show up and they won't leave him alone and they're just pestering him. This is a criticism I've seen very commonly with Illumination movies. I remember people said it with the first Despicable Me, and I remember feeling the same way with the Lorax, where you take the villain character of the Onceler, and they basically just made it that, oh, instead of being this like greedy, evil, tree-hating bastard who basically brought on the fucking apocalypse to the cotton candy forest, instead they made him this like, electric guitar playing, emo-haired country Tumblr boy with a fedora and a vest. And the reason he was doing any of that was because he wanted to impress his family, who were a bunch of assholes. The Onceler was the villain of the story, but they didn't want to make him too bad because then you can't have him be a likable character. And it feels like they did the same thing with the Grinch. It's like, you don't want to make him too bad, even though Grinch has basically become synonymous with holiday-hating assholes. It feels like they really missed the point entirely. Even the Jim Carrey one, they had him doing really terrible shit in the first half of the movie, where it's like, he like vandalizes things, he like saws a bike in half and then hands the saw to a couple of kids, and he's doing like mail fraud and like switching people's mail and putting like chain letters, eviction notices, and jury duty letters. It's like, they actually made him seem like he was doing some really fucked up shit and getting genuine pleasure out of it. In this movie, he just wants to be left alone. He just wants to go out and grill, for God's sakes.
I specifically bought enough food to last until January. How much emotional eating have I been doing?
And for the first half of the movie, if it's not the Grinch just wanting to be left alone, you have this running subplot throughout the movie where Cindy Lou Who is trying to find / capture / have some kind of talk with Santa Claus, because her whole thing is that she doesn't like how her mother is always working, and she feels like she doesn't spend enough time with her and her siblings because it's a single mom who has a job as a night nurse. And so it's their way of doing the cliche family trope of the overworked parent who's not there for the family enough.
She works all night and takes care of us all day. And it just isn't fair. She acts like she's fine. But I know, it's really hard for her.
And so every once in a while, you'll cut back to Cindy, and she's coming up with these harebrained schemes to try and either go to Santa Claus or capture Santa Claus so that she can talk to him. Like, she's coming up with these like elaborate traps and stuff, and they have like this little friend group that she interacts with.
Santa? Why would we want to do that? Duh, to steal all his toys. I love it. Oh, that's a great idea. No, not to steal his toys. To talk to him. What?
And the entire time I was just thinking, wow, I've already seen this way better in It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, with Linus trying to capture the Great Pumpkin. It's like, I don't know. I guess they wanted Cindy Lou to have something to do because they also did that in the 2000s one. But there it felt more like she actually was a crucial character to the plot. She didn't really understand all the hype behind Christmas either, like the rest of the town did. And, after seeing everyone is horrified of the Grinch because this town was basically trained to believe that the Grinch is just this horrible monster and is heartless and emotionless and doesn't feel for anybody. And then she ends up getting saved by him in the mailroom sequence in the beginning, and then that makes her want to learn more about him. And ultimately, she realizes that maybe he is just a little bit misunderstood, and maybe he does need somebody to be there for him to show him that there are people who care. It felt like it actually connected to the main plot. Here, it just kind of felt like a very loose subplot that every once in a while overlaps. And then when it actually does overlap at the end, when the Grinch tries to steal Christmas from Whoville, it's just like, oh, that's how you connected it together?
He didn't steal Christmas. He just stole stuff. Christmas isn't here. And besides, I already have the greatest gift I could ever get. You.
I was thinking, all right, that's sweet. That's a sweet, tender moment. It was one of the few things I liked. It's like, all right, that's genuine. But the fact that it was in this movie just kind of felt like, oh, okay, so that's what we were building to, huh? Okay. And when none of that's going on, you then have stuff with the Grinch where he's trying to plot and scheme how he's going to steal Christmas. So there's a little bit more of him trying to come up with the proper plan of how to do this in this one. Which, I'll give him credit. I mean, that's something different. You know, it's like, all right, that's not a terrible angle to take with it. But, oh my god. Okay, so here's what they do. You have it that he's trying to get reindeer. So they find this big reindeer out in a field of snow, and the reindeer they call Fred. And the reindeer starts cuddling up to the Grinch, and it seems like, oh, he's actually caring for another creature. He already technically does with his dog Max. I mean, like, he doesn't even really treat Max that badly in this movie.
All right, I'm sorry. You're a good dog.
And again, let's be honest, it's Illumination. They clearly made that reindeer character so it could be the cute animal sidekick. I mean, like, they did it with the Minions, they did it with all the animals in the forest in the Lorax, they basically did it with all the pets in Secret Life of Pets. It feels like just an excuse to make toys so that they could sell it around Christmas time. It was just so transparent that that's why they did it. And it's ultimately pointless because they end up getting rid of Fred because they see that he has a family of reindeer, so they're like, okay, go back to your family. And so then that's when the Grinch decides, oh, Max, you'll be my reindeer and you'll pull the sled. And so they do the typical stuff you'd expect. They steal Christmas from Whoville. There's the scene where the Grinch is talking to Cindy and, you know, their storylines overlap.
I wish you could celebrate with us tomorrow. We all get together and sing. It's so beautiful that if you close your eyes and listen, all of your sadness just goes away.
They steal Christmas, and then the Who's walk out, and they're all surprised that Christmas was stolen.
I trapped Santa last night because I wanted to ask him to do something special for you. But I think I made him mad, and that's why he stole everyone's Christmas.
And it's here where the message of the movie feels horribly mismatched. I mean, in this version, it's not really the whole message of, you know, maybe Christmas perhaps doesn't come from a store. It's not really that. The Grinch hears the Who's singing in Town Square. He's touched by their singing, and that's what makes him want to give the presents back.
The luscious sound swelled, reaching up to the skies. And the Grinch heard with his heart, and it tripled in size.
Not really because of the lesson itself, but because they sing really nice. Which reminds me, really quick, there's a lot of actual Christmas music in this movie. Like not pop songs, but like actual like old traditional style Christmas songs. Which I just couldn't help but find a little bit weird.
Rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day.
I think that would have been one of the things Danny Elfman could have excelled at. Like, oh, you're making, original Dr. Seuss style Christmas songs. I'm not saying that they were bad Christmas songs by any means, but that really surprised me. It's like, shit, you got Danny Elfman and I mean, even Pharrell, who, don't know that much about. It's like, you got two big songwriters and it just seems like they plucked a bunch of like just regular, standard, old school sounding Christmas songs in this Dr. Seuss movie. They have You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch super early on in the movie, but they had to do it as a rap song where it doesn't really sound like the original, but they redid it. I was like, who does that song? Because that sounds vaguely familiar, and I looked it up. And it was a rapper by the name of Tyler, the Creator.
You're a mean one,
That blew me away. I was like, that's like getting Eminem to do a song for a Pixar movie soundtrack. It's like, what? That's a weird fucking choice. I don't know. Maybe he wanted some of that sweet, sweet Universal Illumination money, yo. The whole thing of the Grinch realizing the lesson, and he ultimately goes to Whoville, returns the presents, and then just kind of walks away awkwardly, and it's just like, yeah, there's your presents. I'm sorry I stole Christmas. Bye. And then just awkwardly leaves.
I'm so very sorry for everything.
And then when he's up in his cave with Max and he gives him a chew toy, or like a bone to chew on.
I kind of thought you might like it. You don't like it? Oh, I can take it back. It's not a big deal. I just thought...
Then Cindy Lou shows up and basically tells him, like, no, you're not going to spend Christmas by yourself. You're going to spend Christmas with us. And he goes to spend Christmas with them, and he has this big speech.
I've spent my entire life hating Christmas and everything about it. Now I see that it wasn't Christmas I hated. It was being alone. I'm not alone anymore. And I have all of you to thank for it.
Even in the 2000s one, and you could say that movie was also over-commercialized, because it really was. After that movie was huge at the box office, Universal fucking cashed in on that shit. To the point where they literally had, like, credit card tie-ins to the Grinch, and it's like, okay. Fucking Universal clearly missed the fucking point of the story, I guess.
A slew of lucky people will get all their Visa holiday purchases free, because Visa and the Grinch are giving back the holidays. From November through December, it all can be free, because Visa is everywhere you want to be.
But in the 2000s movie, the Who's were upset that their stuff was stolen, because it seems like the Who's had a very superficial, commercialist style of Christmas that they fell in love with, instead of remembering, you know, what Christmas is supposed to be about, which is the being there for your family and your loved ones and giving and sharing. But in this one, everyone's just kind of like, oh, stuff was stolen.
Oh dear. What happened? Where's the decorations?
All the presents.
Oh man.
Oh, I guess that guy did it. That green guy that none of us really have a problem with. In fact, we, more often than not, basically try to just chat his ear off and like constantly lean on him and try to talk to him when he just wants to be left alone. That guy did that? Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? Invite him over for Christmas. Fuck it. Come on, everybody. Let's have a big roast beast. And that's what made the ending of the original cartoon so poignant was, yeah, they didn't really have much of a reaction, but it's because they didn't need things. They all went to town square and they still sang their song hand in hand. And so that's what made the Grinch realize, like, they're still happy, even without things. And in the 2000s one, it, you know, again, you could say that movie was over-commercialized, just like this one was, but there was more of a point to the Who's being materialistic. It's that they needed Cindy to sort of prove that Christmas isn't all about the fancy decorations and the presents and the contests or whatever. It's all about being there with the ones you love on this special holiday. But in this movie, there's really none of that. And it feels like they did that on purpose because Universal and Illumination are such big companies that are always trying to push, you know, all these different product tie-ins. And I mean, it really reminds me of what they did with that Lorax movie. The Lorax is supposed to be this movie about environmentalism, and yet they had product tie-ins for gas-guzzling SUVs.
We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Aren't we forgetting something?
Oh, and do see Dr. Seuss's The Lorax in theaters this March.
Any kind of message that's there just rings so hollow and phony and disingenuous, and that's really what kept me from enjoying this movie, especially when it got to that part. Like, up until then, I was like, God, it feels like they took any kind of edge or life out of this story and this character of the Grinch, who's supposed to be this vile, hate-filled creature, and here he's just kind of this awkward guy who just wants to be left the fuck alone. And then when you got to that part, it's like, okay, you don't even get the classic Christmas lesson of, you know, it's not about the things, it's about being there with the ones you love. I mean, yeah, it's there, but it feels so empty inside. It should go without saying that, no, this is not the worst movie I've ever seen. This is far from the worst Christmas movie. It's really not that bad. It's pretty to look at. There's like just nothing to it. It's just the most hollow, empty, cynical version of this story ever. I mean, Yeah, I guess you could say that about the Mean One, but the Mean One was made to basically be a parody of the Grinch. It was very tongue-in-cheek in the fact that, yeah, it's a horror version of the Grinch, and we know this is stupid, but fuck it, you can laugh along with us. This made me look at the 2000s one. It's like, you know, people can say whatever they want about that, and they can have their laundry list of complaints with that one, but at least that had more of a personality to it. I mean, and that one's immensely quotable. That movie is being quoted to this day, versus this one where one or two things made me chuckle, but it wasn't enough to carry it, man. It's not the worst, but it just falls into how I usually feel about a lot of Illumination movies. It's like, they're well animated, they're colorful, they're nice to look at, but content-wise, it's just very surface-level kids movie that, yeah, kids would probably like, but other than that, it's the kind of movie where, like, if you put it on for your nieces and nephews or whatever, you're probably just gonna pull out your phone and not really pay the best of attention because the movie's not good enough to capture your attention. You know what? Despite all my grinching over this movie, it's probably gonna be better than what we're talking about next time, because next time we're looking at a legacy sequel for a rated R Christmas comedy that I really liked. The first one I really enjoyed, but this one just kind of came and went. We're gonna be talking about Bad Santa 2. But until then, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
If that was a sled, I'd be dead.